You know the saying in theater that there are no small parts? Well, we guess you could say the same for movies. There have been some big-name actors who appear in films or voice characters very briefly. Sometimes they aren't even credited. Though brief, they have made for some good moments in cinema. Check out these actors who were hired to do very little. Like this video and hit subscribe to watch other videos similar to this one and join the notification squad to stay up to date. Can you figure out what movie the emojis are hinting at? Stay tuned to find out shortly following the video. Glenn Close, Hook. Even if you have a good set of eyes, it is almost impossible to recognize Glenn Close in the 1991 Disney film Hook, especially since she only graced the screen very briefly, not to mention she was dressed as a bearded pirate named Gutless. There is one scene in the movie where all of Hook's pirate minions are gathered on the ship and Robin Williams is disguised as one of them. Hook comes over to where Williams is but ends up speaking with another pirate. Believe it or not, that pirate is Glenn Close. The name Gutless fits as her character starts crying and confessing to Hook. Shortly after her conversation with him, she is drugged to the boo box where two scorpions are placed in there with her. Despite being fairly popular during this time period, it is a mystery why Close decided to do the role. Maybe it was due to the fact that she played alongside Williams in the 1982 film The World According to Garp, and she wanted another opportunity, if only for a minute. So far, throughout her career, Close has earned 6 Academy Award nominations and has played some good characters. If this was not included in our list, would you have known it was her? Cate Blanchett, Hot Fuzz. When you have a big-name actress like Cate Blanchett appearing in your movie, you make sure that she's unrecognizable, right? This is exactly what happened when she had a cameo in Hot Fuzz. Simon Pegg stars in the comedy as a dedicated London cop who takes his job a little too seriously. He is eventually transferred to a small town with a dumb new partner. Blanchett plays Pegg's estranged girlfriend, and we catch a glimpse of her towards the beginning of the movie. She is a crime scene investigator, and Pegg shows up to see her. We can't tell it is her because she is decked out in protective suit, goggles, and mask. Hilarity ensues when at first he starts talking with someone who he thinks is his girlfriend, but can't tell because of the ensemble. If you're good at picking up someone's voice, you may have recognized it when she and Pegg are talking. Otherwise, it would be very hard to know it was her because she was uncredited. Blanchett has won numerous Academy Awards, Golden Globes, and BAFTAs. She is a truly remarkable actress, and it's strange she signed on for such a brief appearance. It was definitely not the typical role she goes for. Samuel L. Jackson, Iron Man. When Iron Man was released in 2008, it gained a lot of popularity and impressed fans worldwide. One scene in particular had people going crazy. It was a post-credit scene where Samuel L. Jackson shows up in Tony Stark's house as Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. This is the first time that the Avengers Initiative was mentioned, and it was a hit. Everyone went into a frenzy thinking of all the crossover stories that would eventually take place. All of our minds went spinning with the possibilities. The most recent take on Nick Fury's character is based on Jackson himself, which makes him the obvious casting choice. Even though Jackson was uncredited, he was a complete hit and he agreed to play Nick Fury in 8 more projects. Surprisingly enough, his short appearance was probably one of the best points in the film. Probably because it was so unexpected and you had to watch to the end of the credits to see it. It's always great to see Samuel L. Jackson in everything he does, but him playing Nick Fury is just awesome. It is hard to imagine anyone else playing the role. Were you excited to see Jackson appear? Bill Murray, Zombieland. If you want to be entertained and need a list on how to survive a zombie apocalypse, then look no further than the film Zombieland. Jesse Eisenberg, Emma Stone, Woody Harrelson, and Abigail round out the cast in this hilarious movie. The 4 end up teaming up and sticking together because what better way to survive a zombie-infested America than strength in numbers? One of the funnier parts of the film is when the group end up making their way to Los Angeles and are seeking refuge in Bill Murray's home as per Harrelson's request. When this takes place, it's about 2/3 of the way through the movie, but the scenes end up being some of the best in the film. Not only do they find Murray, but at first they think he is a real zombie because he did his own makeup to look like one. After they figure out who he is, Harrelson, Stone, and him end up spending some quality time together. Woody and Murray hit some golf balls and then end up recreating a scene from Ghostbusters. Unfortunately, things turn south when Murray sneaks up on Eisenberg and he accidentally kills Bill because he didn't know he was in the house, let alone looked like a zombie. Kurt Russell, Forrest Gump. If this wasn't on our list, you probably would have never known that Kurt Russell had a brief part in Forrest Gump, without even any screen time, and wasn't actually credited. Russell was the voice for Elvis when Forrest first meets him when he is living in their house. He showed up and sang a little hound dog in the booth.
You ain't nothing but...
Doing the voice for Elvis kind of came to be a full-circle role for Russell. He played Elvis in the 1979 TV movie Elvis the Movie, in which he was nominated for an Emmy. In that movie, however, he did not get to sing. The country star Ronnie McDowell was responsible for that. Thanks to Forrest Gump, Russell was able to completely play Elvis at least one point in his career. Forrest Gump is one of the most loved movies of all time. It is still widely talked about and quoted to this day, even being 23 years old. It won 6 Academy Awards and was nominated for 13. Kurt probably wishes his role could have been a little bit more substantial, or even getting his name listed in the credits. Had you heard that Kurt Russell did the voice for Elvis, or was this your first time? Hugh Jackman, X-Men First Class. Some may have been skeptical when X-Men First Class was released in 2011. We didn't know what we were going to get, but it turned out to be a great prequel that was as entertaining as it was smart. Hugh Jackman's brief but memorable cameo in the film made it even better. Jackman as Wolverine only shows up for a brief moment and says only one line, causing a big laugh. For those that haven't seen the film, it is when Wolverine is approached by young Charles Xavier and the future Magneto. They approach him to inquire about joining the X-Men, but he brushed them off very aggressively.
Excuse me, I'm Eric Blanchett.
Charles Xavier.
Go f yourself.
Production went on longer than expected, and Jackman was still waiting for a call to show up. After 3 to 4 months, questions circled his head whether or not he was supposed to call them, show up on a specific day, or if they even still wanted him to come. Eventually, the call came that they were doing reshoots and he may or may not appear in the movie. Hugh went down there anyways and did about 8 takes. When it came down to delivering the line, Jackman had an idea he wanted to try out. He asked the director for one more take because he had a feeling. He delivered the line and the director agreed it was the one. Sigourney Weaver, Finding Dory. It's no surprise that there was a slew of great voice actors in Pixar's Finding Dory. You have Ellen DeGeneres, of course, as Dory, Albert Brooks, Ty Burrell, Bill Hader, Idris Elba, and 3-time Academy Award nominee Sigourney Weaver. Wait, what? That's right, some of you may know her for her work in the Alien franchise as well as Avatar, plus if you think back, she was also the voice of the ship's computer in WALL-E. She is the voice who welcomes visitors to the Marine Life Institute in California where Dory was taken to.
Welcome to the Marine Life Institute, where we believe in rescue, rehabilitation, and release.
The voice recording is a running joke in the film as the animals all think of her as their friend. Andrew Stanton, one of the directors, thought it would be hilarious if you heard a celebrity's voice, which is why he chose Sigourney for the part. The way her name sounds, because it is so unique, was another factor. It cracked them up. Weaver is the voice for the Arts and Sciences Museum in the Bay Area, as well as narrating a bunch of nature documentaries, making her an even better candidate for the job. Did any of you recognize her voice when you were watching the movie? Daniel Craig, Star Wars The Force Awakens. Did you know that Daniel Craig, also known as 007, had a brief moment as a stormtrooper in Star Wars The Force Awakens? Well, you do now. Craig appears when Rey, played by Daisy Ridley, is being held captive after her interrogation from Kylo Ren. He is the stormtrooper where she uses the Force to manipulate his weak mind into loosening the restraints and leaving the cell with the door open. Oh, and drops his weapon. He had those few lines, and that was it. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Craig was asked about his cameo appearance in Star Wars due to the fact that Simon Pegg had started a rumor about it. Craig denied it very strongly and asked why he would even do something like that. It is not too much of a surprise as The Force Awakens was still under pretty tight wraps at the time. The speculation that Craig may appear as a stormtrooper in the film made even more sense because he was filming the new James Bond movie Spectre at England's Pinewood Studios, the same place where The Force Awakens was being concurrently filmed. It would have been easy for him to slip away for a minute and slip on the white armor. Going from a super spy to stormtrooper is a pretty sweet gig. KRISTEN Bell, Zootopia. The lovely voice of Princess Anna from Frozen belonging to KRISTEN Bell was heard saying only 2 words as a sloth in Zootopia. That's right, if you pay attention, you'll notice for yourself. It is during the sequence when Officer Hops visits the DMV to get a plate run from Flash. Nick Wilde tells Flash a joke and, finding it funny, turns to his coworker and says her name, which she replies,
"Yes, Flash?"
That's it. KRISTEN Bell was able to be a part of another Disney movie for only 2 words. The idea to cast Bell happened when writers Jared Bush and Phil Johnstone and producer Clark Spencer discussed what they were going to do about the voice of the sloth. Someone asked if they had seen Belle appear on Ellen, where she explained for her birthday a live sloth was brought in for her party. She loves sloths, so it was already a perfect fit. All that was left was to see if she was willing to do the job. A note was sent from the casting director while the writers were in the room asking if she would consider doing the 2 words if it was a sloth. Within a couple of minutes, she had replied, yes. It was the quickest deal ever made in Hollywood. Vin Diesel, Guardians of the Galaxy. Vin Diesel scored big for not doing very much when he signed on with Marvel as the role of Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy. Although he only says the infamous line,
I'm Groot.
The entire movie he is a vital part of the Guardians and is a character everyone can fall in love with. When recording Groot's lines, Diesel is actually given a second sheet of paper that has an English translation of what Groot is saying. This way he can really get into the character's head. This is how all the variations of the 3 words came about. Diesel was a little skeptical when he figured out Marvel wanted him to voice a tree, especially when he knew he would only be saying 3 words throughout the entire film. The studio did say that Groot would have a little resemblance to the Iron Giant, which he loves. The concept art was also some of the best he had ever seen, which is another reason he decided to sign on. Even though it is only 3 words, the character is lovable and is sure to have you in hysterics throughout the movie. Who knew this 3-word speaking tree would have so many people fall for him? Well, what'd you think of this list? Which ones would you have added? Before we forget, the answer to the movie emoji is... Well, did you guess it right? Let us know in the comments below and check out our playlist while you're at it. Thank you for watching our video.